Cyfrowe zdrowie, nowe trendy i inspiracje. Mamy tutaj 4 szanownych prelegentów płci obojga w tej części. Zapraszam na scenę pana Joosta Felixa z Agfa Healthcare z Belgii, który będzie mówił o koordynacji opieki. Mówimy o tym od lat, pokładamy w niej wiele nadziei, ale koordynacja jest, jak państwo teraz wiedzą, do czego nawiązuję, do pierwszej części, jest jak Yeti. Wszyscy o tym mówią, ale nikt tego nie widział. Ja specjalnie przeczytałem fragment scenariusza in extenso. A pan Joost Felix pokaże nam, w jaki sposób rozwiązania e-zdrowia efektywnie koordynują opiekę. Zapraszam na scenę. Wiem, że jest obecny. It's all yours for some time. Yes, there is a mic over there.
I have the challenge of keeping you awake after lunch, so please bear with me. And if you fall asleep, don't snore too hard, please. What I will do is I will try to walk you through a perspective on what could be next. We have been talking a lot about eHealth, and I would like to take it to a next level. What I would like to talk about is, in essence, 4 aspects. Let's first have a close look at why do we need to change? Why do we need eHealth? Why do we need to change in healthcare delivery? Then let's have a closer look into the technology. And last but not least, we need to have a look at the patient. What does this mean for the patient, and how is the patient affected by technology? What I found inspiring this morning was the example given about Venice, where a health information exchange was implemented, and people claim that we have now an annual saving of approximately 10 million. During my presentation, I would like to ask you to keep a question in mind, and that is the question: is this because of the health information exchange, or is this because in Venice we have a leading example of reorganization of healthcare, and the entire regional healthcare organization moved to an integrated care network. So they really changed the way that they operate. To what extent does the technology allow us to create that change, or is it the organizational change that drives the cost saving? Because if we look, I think we all have seen the following numbers. Healthcare costs are exploding, and even in the midst of the crisis, the cost increase continued. So what can we do there to make a change? If you look into this a little bit further, I think we've all seen the numbers. The chronic diseases are eating us alive. The chronic diseases are impacting what is happening. Even in a country like Poland, with a relatively young population, we see an increase of chronic diseases. And why is that so important? Because if we look further into that, you will see the US numbers. I do apologize for not using Polish numbers, but the US numbers are more or less the same across the globe. That 75% of the national health spending is on chronic disease management. So if you want to make a change with eHealth, if you're looking to go beyond the reference pilotitis, right? What do you do? How do you address this particular condition, the chronic disease management? And that's what I would like to walk you through. I think we all are here because we truly believe that healthcare IT is needed to be able to address that challenge. I would like to make that message a little bit less strong. I believe that healthcare IT is here to help us reorganize. The problem, to a large extent, if you look at things like chronic health conditions, is not so much in the IT. The IT is here. We can organize, we can aggregate data, we can collect data, we can analyze data. But what does that do for the healthcare practitioner? What does that do for the patient? How does technology impact the way that we organize the healthcare delivery? COSIR, the European Organization of Healthcare Vendors, worked on that and said, okay, we want to build a roadmap that talks about how do you bring eHealth into the workspace, how do you really roll that out. This is done in collaboration with the EU initiative on active and healthy aging. What is really nice about the EU initiative is that there are 74, at least last time I looked, really nice pilot projects. What is bad about those 74 pilot projects? that they are individual projects, that it is very difficult to take an example from Spain and implement it in Poland, or implement a UK example in the Netherlands. And this is why COSI worked on a roadmap for eHealth. What you see is not rocket science, and I think we have been talking a lot about how do we capture the data. And that challenge, to be open and honest, I think is mostly solved. We do have ways of capturing the data. Maybe not all the data, I will come back to that in a moment, but we do that. IHE solved a lot of that riddle. The challenge that we still have is how do we aggregate that and share? And that is to a large extent a political and organizational discussion. GDPR is making life difficult in sharing data. The change in the organization that I was referring to is about how do we collaborate and coordinate. And in that light, I was really happy this morning when we started to talk about two different stakeholders that we often forget when it is about aggregating and collecting data. And that was the GP and the patient. Both are key drivers here to help us make healthcare more effective. Signify, which is a UK-based company, made a really nice analysis to say what can we now do to move beyond what we do today and move into a population health management. And what is nice about this approach is that if we look at it, you see the different building blocks. And this approach allows us to do two things. It allows us to really reorganize in a very structured way, but it also allows us to start at the end or start at the beginning. And I would like to spend a few minutes on that. If we start at the beginning, this is a discussion about data aggregation. And the people talking after me will talk a lot about healthcare analytics and things like that. However, if you are a GP today, how do you coordinate that care for that very complex 80-year-old patient that is sitting in front of you? And that's the front end, which is all about care coordination, care management, and patient engagement. So what you need to do if you start designing a population health management approach for a municipality, for a health region, or for any other organization, take the building blocks into account, but the fact that you don't have the data aggregation, the risk stratification, and the cohort identification in place is not stopping you to do something else, which was also one of the things that was brought forward by Professor Guus Schrijvers from the University of Utrecht and the International Integrated Care Foundation, who said, start with the beginning, start by identifying even manually the patients that would benefit most from truly integrated care. Why is that so important? For two things, for the cost and for the patient. Because that are the patients that are typically falling through the crack, showing up at the emergency department at the middle of the night. So if you look at this from a solution perspective for your municipality, how do you bring the stakeholders together? How do you start to put them on a care plan? How do you put those patients in a care management program? And how do you engage them? Patient engagement sounds sexy, but there was a nice example from the UK that I once heard from a GP in Leeds who said, we handed out iPads to a group of elderly frail patients and they used it for FaceTiming with each other. And just because of the fact that we were addressing loneliness and we had interaction with people, we had a calculatable and significant reduction in visits to the GPs. So patient engagement is much more than talking to the GP, talking to the nurse. This is how do we reorganize our care? How do we really move forward in a new way? The problem that we do have, if we look at the first blocks about data analytics, data aggregation, is that I think that our discussions this morning were too limited. We looked a lot about health data, but if we look at the factors that are there and that are known to influence health, most of that data is non-health data. As the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation in Chicago is often saying, give me your postal code and I will tell you which diseases you're suffering from. The fact is, healthcare is determined by many things. Health as a social factor. What you need to do if you really want to move into a reorganization, you need to look into how do I collect more data than just lab results or images or I don't know what kind of document you want. You need to change there. And one of the things then that becomes apparent is that you need a new network. And what Agfa is working on is a networked approach that brings all the care providers across the different institutions together, that allows you to aggregate data, and I'm totally agreeing with some of the technical constraints discussed this morning. We need semantic interoperability, we need ontologies, because even today, if I would walk to 5 different hospitals here in Gdansk and I would ask, how do you register blood pressure? The chance that you have 5 different measurements for blood pressure is really, really big. So you need to have that in place. But you cannot restrict yourself to data only coming from the healthcare systems if you want to do population health management. So what you need to do is you need to work, and this is a complex slide, and I hope you're not going to read it. I just wanted to put a complex slide here to show you that doing this is complex. And you need to have a solution that is not developed by a single company. There is nobody out there today that truly handles this. If I look at the market, if I look at the different products that are out there, I will find 6,000 apps that handle diabetes. How many apps do you find that are fitted for that 80-year-old diabetic patient also suffering from chronic heart failure and also suffering from early dementia? You don't find them. That is the problem we have today with much of the eHealth. It is fragmented, it is single diseases, it is single stakeholder, and we need to move into a networked approach. Only if we do it in a networked approach, by collecting all the data, using the data to move forward in a coordinated and care plan organized manner, will we be able to make a change. I know that sounds far-stretched, but this is what's happening in many countries at this moment in time. And this is what Agfa is actively engaged in with some of the customers. And why do we want to do that? We want to do that to really make a difference. I once heard somebody explaining, and I'm sorry, it's again from the UK, who said, the moment that the patient visits a hospital, they're tied with an elastic band to the hospital bed. And something happens, they're pulled back into the hospital, which is extremely costly, which is something for which you don't have the resources. Here in Poland, you have a big discussion about queues. So a big discussion should be, how do we keep patients out of the healthcare system? And for that, risk stratification, and somebody else will talk about that much better than I can, will help you greatly. Now this is a picture from the US. So I do totally agree that Poland is much healthier than the US, and you don't have only 26% of the people that are considered healthy. But look at the figures below it. 26% eating only 4% of the cost. So what is the idea? That if I would be able to find the people at risk, put them on a preventive care program, which to a large extent is a lifestyle program, I can bring the risk down. I'm not so optimistic to claim that if you look at the complex chronic patients, that you can do anything there, right? That has been tried, that has failed. Also, it is important to remember that only 10% of the patients in that population are there year after year. Either they die, I'm sorry to say, or they move down. You can save a lot of money by finding people that are at risk or are suffering from simple chronic diseases and trying to mitigate their risk down. And then what you do see is that in essence, we're talking about patients that are not a patient. We're talking about you and me. Okay, maybe I'm not as healthy as you are, but what we're talking about is self-care. We're talking about patients that are to a large extent not in the system or early in the system. Because what we need to do if we want to make a change here is we need to recognize that patients with chronic diseases, like illustrated by the presentation from Nictus this morning, was so many hours for diabetic care. Well, the same thing is true if you look at this one, which is a similar slide. This is a patient suffering from Parkinson. And she kept track of the amount of hours on a yearly base that she spent on her healthcare. And what do you see here? 1 hour in the system, more than 6,000 hours outside of the system. How do we organize? How do we organize to make that happen? And we can only do that by not talking about patients anymore. We should be looking at yourself in the mirror. This is about citizens. How do we organize care for citizens? And this is the typical picture. What is this lady doing? Applying new makeup, looking at the glucose level, looking at the medical images. What is happening with this lady? New technology is there. We had a long discussion this morning. People are starting to use it. What I would like to say here is, in the last 30 seconds, it's not just about technology. We need to be very sure that we're people-centered, that we're person-centered. One big risk of coordinated care is that we coordinate the professionals and the patient is standing to the side and feels isolated. So whatever we do in our organization, the patient is not an outside, is an inside person. And with this, I would like to come to the conclusion, just on time, caring for patients is the most important thing in this approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We admire the perfection, keeping time. Pan jest Holendrem, powiązania polsko-holenderskie są oczywiste, oba kraje są nad morzem, dobrze reagują osoby na dźwięk rogu mgłowego, jak widać. Proszę Państwa, sztuczna inteligencja to już nie jest perspektywa, to już są fakty, ale kontrowersje pozostają, również obawy, nie ma co ukrywać. Czy te rozwiązania, które w tej chwili się rodzą, są już wystarczająco dopracowane, żeby już realnie pomagać zarówno pacjentom, przede wszystkim, jak i lekarzom? O tym nasz kolejny mówca, pan Lorenzo Pengo, Healthcare Industry Director z Microsoft Central Eastern Europe.
Thank you. So, good afternoon. When we decide the title of the presentation of Microsoft, and I was discussing this with Arthur, it took us 3 seconds to identify the title. And the reason is because artificial intelligence is in the mouth of everyone. It's in every newspaper, right? Just to give you some ideas, some figures. In US, Northern America, so US and Canada, this year there are $4.6 billion invested in healthcare in startups. The European Union, the European area, 22 billion investment in artificial intelligence healthcare between last year till 2020. And this is telling us something, you know. It's telling us, you know, there is a big opportunity. Oh yes, I want to work on artificial intelligence. Oh yes, you know, whatever. The reality, we are talking about a big change in the healthcare. We are not talking about innovative solution. We are talking about a next generation of applications. So it took me a while to put together 15 minutes presentation, okay? Because the first let's say, draft was about 120 slides that I prepared because we have a lot of information. We are involved in many projects. And then you will see here an essence of that. But I promise that I will send to the organizer a larger deck so that you can have more visibility of that. How it works, like this. Yes. So we really need to focalize on the total perspective. We have seen the challenges that the industry has, you know, the patient age, the population age, chronic disease, you know, budgets which are shrinking, and so on. Now, the technology instead is providing us a new way of addressing data management and processing capabilities. And for example, you know, AI and machine learning is one example, but if you look at technology drivers, all of them are related to artificial intelligence because Internet of Things is reading information from the network, from you know, wearables, you process, and then you execute something. with an algorithm, right? And you will see an example in my presentation. Advanced analytics, artificial intelligence is the next step from advanced analytics that we have been talking about in, in the last few years. And then you will see, because of these technology advances, a new generation of applications which will come up in order to deliver, the care coordination, monitoring, and so on. Now, are these only new applications? No, it's a new generation. Not only in terms of technology and advance, but also in the way how healthcare services will be provided. There will be a big change in our partners and in you then as a customer on how to build the solution. You can build a solution which are using services which is provided by a company which sits somewhere in Canada. And that's a different story than today. More flexibility, more leading edge. This will help, to leapfrog in countries new stuff. Okay, I want to mention this because sometimes we talk about artificial intelligence, too much, wording on that. And then you have seen, taking the patient-centric, but I want to mention the fact that to have the patient at the center, you need to have data from the patient. You need to have the electronic medical records, you need to have his own, let's say, real-time information and so on. The reality is that we are moving from a sequential approach in providing care to our patient to a more, let's say, centralized, where the patient is in the center, where the doctor, with the support of tools, have a full visibility about the patient. And then provide a better healthcare to the patient, okay? How to do that? Well, you really need to have a strategy around data management. In data, it's a proliferation of information that in healthcare is dramatic. There are some data which are showing that in the near future, in a couple of years, every patient will generate 2 gigabytes of data per day. Today, our patients are generating data. What are we doing with this data? Most of the time, they are in some servers and not used. They are gold, okay? And therefore, we really need to have a strategy for data management, okay? And you can see here all the data that are actually involved. So why artificial intelligence? Why today? I have several decades of work, okay? So I've been developing systems since the 70s. And I've seen, all the evolution of solutions that we have. Artificial intelligence came up recently as a name in the last few years, but I can tell you that I was just reading some documents, books that I had from 1992, and it was already there. Actually, it was even before. Actually, it was already in the 70s, because when I started to do my job, and focus on information technology, I remember to say to the family, to my father, I said, I want to do cybernetics. I want to do that, robotics. It was all about this. The difference is that at that time, we didn't have the power of the cloud. Basically, unlimited capacity of processing data and unlimited capacity of managing data, which only today with the large cloud capabilities, with the evolution of algorithms, which is not in the last 3 years, the last 40 years, okay, have reached a maturity. So, new generation of application, you will see here examples, okay, and like cost management, readmission management, predictive care, and very important, medical image intelligence, which I call like this, but I can tell you, today we have computers, we have algorithms which are reading MRI, which are reading the pictures coming from scanning. And I can tell you, they do an incredible job. Okay, I will show you something. So, in order to deliver all these applications, the role of Microsoft, and we spent $13 billion in research and development. If you go to Redmond, you will find 50,000 people developing. You know, it's a city, okay? And you can see here what we do, okay? Now, you can say nothing different from the past, big difference. You will see here technology which are coming from the open source, like, for example, CosmoDB, for example, like, data lake, this means that our approach is inclusive of non-Microsoft technology leading edge to provide a consistent platform to developers. And we have several hundred thousands of developers, including the healthcare, okay? And they are developing new application, and I'm going to show you something here, which is coming from Sweden. Okay, Sweden is very advanced. They have developed, in Karolinska Institute, a very interesting technology to detect dyslexia, okay? It's from 3 years ago, and it's very, very strong. So you will know by looking to this what does mean machine learning. I hope it runs.
If you have undiagnosed dyslexia today, this is going to affect your whole life. Not only is your reading skill poor, but it also affects your confidence and your motivation in school.
Our vision is that every pupil should have the right kind of support in school as early as possible.
Screening methods today do not measure reading performance at all.
The dyslexia screening tool is based on actual reading. So what we do is let the children read a short passage of text, and we record the eye movements using an eye tracker. We have been using Visual Studio to develop the client for recording eye movements. These eye movements recordings are sent to the cloud and are processed using machine learning models to look for patterns that differentiate a normal reader from a dyslexic reader.
We started with fairly simple models built using Weka on our desktops. We were able to transfer our models in essentially a matter of hours to Azure, which helps us to immediately analyze the data, bring it up to date in the cloud, and we receive instantaneous feedback.
Visual Studio Online, the Azure Cloud Platform, enables us to develop a solution that we scale in great numbers.
By using Visual Studio Online, we're able actually to work in a quite distributed way.
One of the great things with Azure Cloud was ease of moving our existing code, that is PHP and Java code. We do not have to rewrite so much of it.
The customer needs to trust us that this is a secure solution, this is sensitive data. With the Azure platform, we don't need to think about security, we don't need to think about capacity, we don't need to think about performance. We can go into new countries and everything is just in place. So we can focus on the things that we are good at, which is modeling of the eye movements and measurement of that.
Microsoft has helped us to...
Okay, let's move on because the rest is talking about Microsoft. This is an off-the-shelf application available worldwide. And you don't need to package, it's there, it's a service, okay? So it's a new way to provide services in healthcare, and it's an example of use machine learning. We have other technologies like chatbots, which are used for triage. Now, this is not new technology, it's been already used, okay, and it's automate the process of triage, for example, or interacting patient for the first time with the healthcare system. To develop, very simple. You need a programmer. You need to understand from a doctor what is the flow and where to look for data. And this is something that is a few weeks project, okay? Now, we move, and then it's always developed by our partners, which are developing solutions. This is a very interesting company called Kensai, where you can see by using the platform has created different solutions for disease management, care, cost, and operational stuff. So you can really, by reading all the information about, for example, the transaction in the hospital information system, you know how the resources has been allocated and how you can increase the performance. You can put multiple hospitals together and you can understand how the region can perform and how to improve the performance. This is the power of managing large quantities of data based on pattern recognition, okay? And they have these solutions, okay? Many customers, okay? The interesting part is that you can develop this solution by using your hospital information system or your on-premise solution connected with the cloud, okay? And this is because we support totally the hybrid approach. MedUp is from Poland. It's a very strong company that develops in the area of cardiac. This is, for example, for monitor and control and for ECG analysis. They do incredible stuff in HoloLens for cardiology surgery. Based in Krakow, working with Professor Dudek to develop this. Okay. Epic is one of the largest hospital information systems in the world, and they have created a suite for artificial intelligence to support doctors by the bed. Okay, so basically doctors by the bed have a decision support system which are helping them to prevent, understand better the situation, and make decisions, okay? And they have created all of these on top of the Azure platform with several applications in order to prevent, in a clinical moment, the issues. Very nice project is InRI from Microsoft Research, which is image recognition to support oncology radiologists in order to identify tumors, segment the tumor, okay, and then identify where is the tumor, how big it is, how much is the edema around the tumor, and actually also where is the necrosis in order to plan for treatment. Okay, this is an area very interesting. We are developing for multiple cancer, and it will be part of the Azure platform when we will release. And I want to show you this video at the end, which is talking about genomics.
Cancer at such a granular level for a specific person, and treat that person in a way that's the most effective.
So we really have taken a unique approach to trying to dissect cancer to its most elemental level, which is at the single cell level. And further, we've been developing this technology that can sequence the genomes of individual cancer cells. And we're really one of the few groups in the world that have that capability to study cancers in this way. What this is giving us is an unprecedented look into a tumor. It's like being able to look down the microscope for the first time, or launching the Hubble Space Telescope and be able to see galaxies for the first time. We can see the genomes of individual cells, and that allows us to really understand the diversity that exists within a cancer. And ultimately, being able to ascertain the genomes of these individual cells will hopefully allow us to learn the process by which these tumors acquire resistance to treatment. We're able to upload data, do our analysis, and deploy visualization techniques in the cloud, all within the Azure platform. And so it also provides this amazing mechanism for sharing information. So all this data will become accessible to the international research community that will then accelerate further research on this data that we're generating.
When we're using statistical modeling or machine learning for understanding some scientific question, what we do is we build a model based around that scientific question. We can run multiple iterations from many starting points of this algorithm. And so if you have the ability with Azure to scale up to thousands of CPUs, push out your analysis, get that done maybe overnight, and then get results the next day, is going to enable us more quickly to find the optimal solution to our problem.
We're looking at the transformation of research and how it's done. What the cloud represents,
This is Microsoft, so it's very much, but it's interesting. You have seen several applications, okay? Several applications. This, the genomics is very interesting, we have in Europe, in Estonia, for example, at the moment is sequencing 100,000 citizens. Finland is doing the same. So your electronic medical record, personal, will have an extension for that, and the doctor will know when they are managing you how much is the risk due to your family, for example. I want to finish this saying that Microsoft ran in Azure based on trust. Okay, we do everything it takes in order to provide a secure environment and so on, in such a way that you are, let's say, totally protected. We have customers which are moving in our region, including Poland, on Azure because it's more secure their current system. Okay, this is one of the reasons to move. I recommend you to look for this book, The Future Computed, because it's very interesting. Talks about ethics in the cloud environment. And I want just to stress one fact. Machines are helping humans, is not replacing people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bardzo dziękujemy. Proszę Państwa, pozostajemy w sferze najnowszych zupełnie technologii. Zbliża się do mnie pan Martin Tiani z Grapevine, lider i pionier w dziedzinie interoperacyjności. Jego wizja to wykorzystanie tej metodologii w celu globalnej wymiany informacji medycznych, a w przyszłości każdej informacji dotyczącej energii, edukacji, finansów, ubezpieczeń, administracji, prawa, rolnictwa, sektora motoryzacyjnego itd., itd. Nam się termin blockchain kojarzy z bitcoinem, przynajmniej wtedy go poznaliśmy, ale już wiemy, że może mieć nieskończenie wiele zastosowań. Okej, już nie będę przedłużał zapowiedzi. Pan Martin Tiani, CEO Grapevine, prosimy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I just want to bring some information in regard of the global information exchange. I think we heard many things from the gentleman before, and we will see that in the future, of course, somehow you have to bring the data together. And this is what we are trying now since almost 20 years. And I will show you now an approach where we are quite optimistic how we are able to achieve this together with all our ecosystem and all our partners. We are not doing this alone, we are doing this with many other companies too. That's the status. I think you know it pretty good. It's the way how we are looking to data. I know that you discussed very often about interoperability, but it's still a problem because the data are stuck somehow in different systems, and it's still a challenge to get access to all the data. So based on that, the problem is that, of course, the quality of care is lacking. And if you're not getting access to the right data, then, of course, you have the problem that the treatment will not be that good. So it's still a challenge to get access to the data. And we are working now since 20 years based on this integrating the healthcare enterprise approach. It's called IHE. It's an initiative, a non-for-profit initiative worldwide. Companies are working together to be able at the end to exchange data in a smoother way. Based on that, that we are not really living interoperability, still a problem. We really ending up in many issues, and of course, if people are dying based on information which is not accessible, that's a big issue. I think it's the biggest issue, of course, because of course on one end we want to achieve artificial intelligence. I think it's nice to have it, but on the other hand, first we have to get access to the data, and this is what we, of course, want to achieve. Of course, the costs are significant. I'm not sure if you're aware, also in the latest Gartner study, you can look and you can see that the total costs of just IT systems for the interoperability field, it's about around 50%. 50% of all the IT costs are going into interfacing. It's still amazing. It's an amazing number. If you look to all the IT systems worldwide, we're still lacking on interoperability. The consequences, of course, is that we are running based on the fact that we are not able to access the data and many other issues. The costs are growing up. I think we have seen this also from the slides from Agfa healthcare. It's amazing what's going on in healthcare. So we have to find a way now to use the information technology in the right way, that we are able to at least balance the cost somehow, because we have to take care. If you're talking about cost reductions, we have to be very careful. It's not all about cost reductions. I'm a little bit against it. For me, it's more about leveraging the quality of care. This is something what we want to achieve, of course. So what we have done, we are working, as I mentioned before, we are working since 20 years in the field of interoperability. And of course, I think everybody heard about blockchain. Most of the people, they're knowing Bitcoin, and they are comparing Bitcoin with blockchain. Of course, blockchain is the base core technology for this crypto world. What we have done, we combined the blockchain as a technology framework together with the existing proven interoperability framework from IHE. And why we are using that? Because we see in the blockchain for this purpose, it's a kind of complementary stuff. We are using it for a kind of leverage of an health information exchange. So we are using the blockchain in our approach just for the accounting. So whenever you want to spend or donate your data to, let's say, to pharmaceutical company or whatever, then you're getting a reward, and the reward itself is going to your wallet. So you can register yourself at the Grapevine app, and then you're a registered user. It isn't the winner takes it all approach. We are just this registration is just that you are as a Grapevine user, you're registered. And therefore, it's very important. You have to do it because somehow you want to give consent to your data. If you want to provide your data later on, then therefore you have to give the consent that somebody else is able to access the data. Here you can see an example for one use case, what you can do with your data. Of course, it's a kind of combination. You can use services also from artificial intelligence. What you're doing is, first of all, you can bring in your data, you're giving consent, then maybe you want to reach out to an expert network. I think very often it's the case, and you have it here in Poland, it's the same like everywhere, you need a second opinion. If you want to do that, you can reach out to the global backbone of Grapevine, and then you can, of course, reach out to an expert network, and they are using maybe also artificial intelligence, and then you're getting maybe the response from the experts. It's very, I think, a very common use case, and it's very often in use because for rare diseases, sometimes you haven't so many cases in the country itself, and it makes absolutely sense to reach out to a global expert network. Another use case, of course, is that you are using the data also for the analytic stuff. So in this particular case, you can bring the data to the researcher, and of course you're getting also a reward therefore. The whole architecture behind this, it's a combination, as I told you, between the well-known IHE framework and the blockchain framework. By the way, we have the first time in Cleveland this year in January, we discussed it at the Plagathon, that we will bring out very soon a profile about blockchain. So why it's necessary and why it makes sense to bring out an IG profile, therefore, because more and more companies are willing to provide their services in the cloud, as we heard also before from Microsoft. So it makes absolutely sense that in the whole value chain, if you use services and you're getting now on one hand, of course, services, on the other hand, somebody has to pay therefore, and you have many, many stakeholders in the whole system. So that means everybody is able then in a real comfortable way to get the rewards into the wallet. So it's a kind of combination of a new way that providers and companies are able to get the payment directly into the wallet without doing the whole fiat stuff. You can, of course, at the end to convert the tokens against fiat. But if you are in the whole value chain, as long as you're staying in the value chain, you can reuse the tokens for a second opinion, for instance, or you can also getting rewards into your wallet as a patient, and as a, if you bring as kind of Microsoft or Agfa is doing some services, they are getting also paid in a wallet. So it makes it easier, is more about the convenience, so that we are getting rid of barriers in the future. Yeah, we were running an ICO. It's a very popular topic. At the end, what I can tell you so far, it's a little bit fancy, because an ICO, our ICO is done. I think we have done it, and the reason was because we really want to build up together with all the other partners and service providers this global backbone. So where on one hand patients are able to join, companies are able, service providers, system integrators, so that they are really working on one global goal. Because if of course every company is starting from scratch and is building up something new, it will end up always in a mess, because at the end all the fancy stuff that we want to see in future, in the near future, it will not work, because somehow, as I told you at the beginning, we have to work together, and we need this type of interoperability, that we get access easy to the data. The data protection is a very important thing. You know, in Europe we are running the GDPR. The good thing is, in combination now with this blockchain approach and with all the policies and the governance piece that you need, we will run, especially for the Grapevine World Initiative, a so-called projectathon. It will start next year in France. We try to get it done with the IG people, that we build up a projectathon in Roche. So we will bring in the specifications. It's blueprint specification together with many other companies, of course, so that we are going a step further, so that all the companies, if they are joining, that we are ending up in this big goal that we have a global exchange. A very interesting thing is that we are talking just about healthcare, but this interoperability approach, what we learned in the last 20 years, I think that's brand new now, that we are able to reuse this approach also for other verticals. So we got this year, it was fantastic, we have shown also use cases in the field of energy. We have shown also use cases in the field of the publisher sector, agriculture. So at the end, if you look to the European Commission, their goal for the digital single market, of course, is that we are able somehow to connect all the different stakeholders in a one, let's say, common way. In regard of the next steps now, we will run this projectathon next year. It will be in the springtime, and we have big companies on board. Also, some of them, they were speakers before. They are also interested to combine the Grapevine approach worldwide with us. We are starting also now with the HIMSS task force in regard of blockchain. They have a certain blockchain department, therefore, our initiative. So we try to combine the blockchain, the good things and the good things of blockchain, the framework with the existing IHE approach. So, and we are entering at the end in a way that hopefully in the next let's say, couple of months that we can show good examples how you can use the whole approach. Why is, let's say, this crypto? One thing I want to tell a little bit about this crypto world and the good things and the bad things. Yeah. Of course, everybody is hearing now different things. Of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that, what you hear in the press, it's going up and down. And of course, most of the people, they are not able to get it right because it's, for them, it's of course somehow unstable and nobody is interested, of course, to do something in that way. But you have to understand that Bitcoin and Ethereum is just one little tiny piece that you can see under the surface. The blockchain technology and framework with the possibility to run smart contracts is a way that you're able to get easier all the different stakeholders on board. Let's assume you want to really change a little bit the existing ecosystem. That's not that easy. If you have to sit together with the payers, with the pharmaceutical companies, with many stakeholders, and you know exactly how long it takes, especially in the public sector, that you change a little bit, little tiny things. With this blockchain approach, with smart contracts, you're able to provide a kind of template where you can offer such an approach that people are able to join. So you have, in this particular case, you're able to provide the smart contracts, and then, of course, the stakeholders, they are able to check the governance piece, of course, the policies, all the legislation stuff, what you need, and then, of course, you can join. And that's, I think, it's a big change. And then you have to understand this approach, this blockchain approach, also with the tokens behind, is automatically a global approach. It's a global approach. It's not a regional approach, and this is a big difference. If you look a little bit to the future and you want to get access to an expert in China or in Japan or in Russia, yeah, of course they have to get access somehow to the information. And we have to understand that all besides the exciting stuff in technology, technology itself is just a tool for us as humans, but we need this type of tools, and we need the tools globally. So with this kind of approach, I think it's, if you need, let's assume you need an expert in Rwanda, yeah, in Africa, yeah, because you, yeah, it's a snake bite or whatever, and the expert is sitting in Rwanda, yeah. So I think that's the right approach, yeah, that you can easily reach out to the expert. The expert is getting also, of course, a reward. And then this brings also worldwide I see a chance also in the digital way, the global way, that we are able to balance the planet a little bit better. because one of our, let's say, political issue, and I think most of the discussions at the moment, and you know that, is refugees, refugees, refugees. But people have to understand why we are talking about refugees, because our planet is unbalanced. Yeah? So I see a big chance in the digital way that maybe in the near future, hopefully, that also people, if they are not living like us in luxury, but they are also, let's say, real experts let's say, expert in certain things, so they are also able to participate in the global market. So this is something, what I can say, it will maybe in the next 2-3 years, you will hear hopefully many things about the Grapevine World Initiative. So we are running now onboardings with the big companies, and they are really excited about it. And together, and I think that's the difference, we are really trying together now with all the different companies worldwide to build up this backbone that at the end we are able to work together in a new ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Bardzo dziękujemy. Thank you very much. Zaczęliśmy już mówić o big data i o sposobach wykorzystania tych informacji w tej skali do odkrywania nowych leków, do konstruowania nowych terapii. Na ten temat więcej pan Aleksander Sowa, doktor biologii molekularnej z firmy Roche Polska. Prosimy. Zanim pan zacznie, to ja jeszcze przypominam, że jest laptop do odebrania, żeby nie zapomnieć. Lenovo. Może nie ma nic wspólnego z blockchainem, ale warto.
Bardzo dziękuję za wprowadzenie Państwu, za Państwa czas i za zainteresowanie tematem. Ja pracuję w firmie Roche, w której tworzymy innowacyjne terapie. Roche od kilku lat współpracuje, a od niedawna jest właścicielem 2 innych firm, które mają bardzo istotne znaczenie w kontekście dzisiejszego tematu. Flatiron Health to jest firma, która zajmuje się analizą danych big data, danych z praktyki klinicznej, real world evidence, RWE, i to zarówno w celach tworzenia narzędzi do zarządzania systemami ochrony zdrowia, jak i w celach badawczych, w celach naukowych. Foundation Medicine to jest twórca bardzo zaawansowanych technologii profilowania genomowego nowotworów, czyli takiej analizy genomu nowotworów, dzięki której możemy identyfikować potencjalne terapie dla chorych. Chciałbym dzisiaj zachęcić Państwa do takiego spojrzenia na big data i na narzędzia informatyczne, dzięki którym możemy integrować naukę i opiekę onkologiczną do tego stopnia, że inwestycje w naukę stają się jednocześnie inwestycjami w opiekę onkologiczną i inwestycje w zdrowie, inwestycje w leczenie są jednocześnie inwestycjami w naukę, wspólnie tworząc innowacje i możliwość tworzenia nowych leków. Wszędzie tam, gdzie dochodzi do kontaktu chorego z systemem ochrony zdrowia, powstaje masa danych. To będą dane dotyczące samego chorego, jego choroby, leczenia, skuteczności tego leczenia, kosztów, jakie się z tym wiążą i jeszcze wielu innych. Dzisiejsze systemy informatyczne pozwalają nam na dotarcie do tych danych i analizę w jednym miejscu. To oczywiście w praktyce nie wygląda tak fajnie jak na tym zdjęciu, dlatego że chociaż wiele z tych danych powstaje w takiej formie na tyle ustrukturyzowanej, że mogą automatycznie zasilać bazy danych, to jednak wiele źródeł takich jak notatki lekarskie, takich jak wyniki badań obrazowych czy laboratoryjnych ciągle jeszcze wymagają ręki, a właściwie głowy człowieka, żeby wyciągnąć z niej informacje istotne klinicznie. Natomiast kiedy rzeczywiście prowadzimy na bieżąco tego typu kolekcje danych i ich analizę, możemy uzyskać obraz przebiegu choroby i procesu leczenia, czasami znacznie bardziej dokładny, aniżeli w badaniach klinicznych. Tutaj mamy przykład takiego chorego, który ze swoimi wcześniejszymi doświadczeniami, ze swoją demografią otrzymuje w pewnej chwili diagnozę choroby nowotworowej i od tego czasu na wszystkich jego etapach powstają dane, które odtworzą nam bardzo dokładny obraz całego procesu leczenia. Wszystkie te dane powstają w instytucjach ochrony zdrowia, czyli tam, gdzie właściwie każda czynność wiąże się z jakimś kosztem i możemy te koszty również analizować je na tyle dokładnie, żeby wiedzieć, co one oznaczają. Tutaj mamy przykład takiego, jaki wpływ ma wybór terapii pierwszego rzutu na całkowite koszty leczenia chorych na raka płuca. Widzimy różnice w kosztach, ale widzimy też różnice, co generuje te koszty. Które koszty pochodzą z leczenia przeciwnowotwornego, które z leczenia towarzyszącego, czy one powstają w szpitalu, czy gdzieś w poradniach. To jest bardzo dobre narzędzie do zarządzania ochroną zdrowia, ale szczególnie w połączeniu z poprzednim obrazem pozwalają nam budować takie narzędzia, takie instrumenty podziału ryzyka pomiędzy płatnika i producenta leków, które pozwolą nam na znacznie szersze udostępnienie leczenia dla chorych na nowotwory. Dane z praktyki klinicznej, te, które powstają w tak zwanym codziennym, normalnym leczeniu, możemy zbierać i analizować w taki sposób, ażeby miały zdolność regulatorową, to znaczy, ażeby na ich podstawie można było dokonywać zmian w rejestracji leków. I tutaj mamy przykład publikacji, która opisuje, w jaki sposób takie dane powinny wyglądać. Dokładność kliniczna, ich kompletność, możliwość obserwacji w czasie, monitorowanie jakości, ich aktualność, możliwość analizy w dużej skali, reprezentatywność dla większych populacji i też możliwość śledzenia pochodzenia tych danych, to są właśnie takie cechy, które umożliwiają regulatorowe wykorzystywanie danych z praktyki klinicznej. Ale zarówno gromadzenie, jak i korzystanie z tych danych, czy to w zarządzaniu ochroną zdrowia, czy to w procesach regulatorowych, czy też po prostu w nauce, wymaga bardzo często współpracy publiczno-prywatnej. I tutaj pokazuję Państwu niedawną publikację, wspólną publikację FDA, czyli amerykańskiego rządowego regulatora i prywatnej firmy Flatiron. Zaraz po tym, jak wprowadzono do leczenia onkologicznego immunoterapię, obie firmy wspólnie analizują rynek, użycie tych leków z wielu powodów, między innymi po to, że w praktyce klinicznej zobaczymy wpływ leczenia również na tych chorych, którzy nigdy nie byli objęci badaniami klinicznymi. Zastosowanie zarówno technologii IT, jak i big data w badaniach klinicznych, w samym procesie badań klinicznych odbywa się na właściwie każdym etapie i nie będziemy dzisiaj mieć czasu na tyle, ażeby to szerzej omówić, ale chciałbym Państwu pokazać jeden z przykładów zastosowania danych RWE jako ramienia kontrolnego w badaniu. W badaniach klinicznych my bardzo często porównujemy nowe terapie z istniejącymi standardami, co oznacza, że połowa chorych w badaniu otrzymuje to samo leczenie, co chorzy poza badaniem. Inaczej mówiąc, my te dane już mamy i jeżeli potrafimy do nich umiejętnie dotrzeć, możemy wykorzystywać je w badaniach klinicznych. I tutaj taki przykład, niebieska i zielona linia to jest analiza przeżycia chorych na raka płuca leczonych tym samym lekiem. Jedna pochodzi z badania klinicznego, druga z praktyki klinicznej. Są właściwie identyczne. Troszeczkę ciekawsza obserwacja w raku piersi. Tutaj leczenie w praktyce klinicznej zastosowano na znacznie szerszej populacji chorych aniżeli w badaniu i stąd w tym górnym obrazie krzywe nam się troszeczkę rozjeżdżają. Natomiast jeżeli zastosujemy w selekcji chorych w praktyce klinicznej te same kryteria, co w badaniu klinicznej, to uzyskujemy dokładnie taki sam przebieg krzywych, co widać na dolniejszym rysunku, na tym dolnym rysunku. To zostawimy sobie na kiedy indziej. Big data, informatyka to nie jest jedyne źródło postępów w onkologii. Ja jestem gotów powiedzieć dzisiaj, że największym osiągnięciem współczesnej onkologii jest personalizowanie leczenia. Personalizowanie, które jest możliwe dzięki temu, że coraz lepiej, coraz dogłębniej poznajemy mechanizmy powstawania chorób nowotworowych, które są różne u różnych chorych. I tak w ciągu naszego życia pod wpływem wielu różnych czynników w niektórych naszych komórkach somatycznych dochodzi do takiego nagromadzenia zmian genomowych, że komórki zaczynają dzielić się w sposób niekontrolowany, powstają nam nowotwory. My jednak historycznie i często jeszcze dzisiaj leczymy chorych głównie w oparciu o tkankę, narząd, z którego ten nowotwór pochodzi. Od jakiegoś czasu poprzez analizę pojedynczych, poszczególnych genów jesteśmy w stanie w niektórych przypadkach wyizolować, wyznaczyć pewne grupy chorych, które wymagają innego leczenia. I tak na przykład mniej więcej u 20% chorych na raka piersi dochodzi do amplifikacji genu HER2. Te chore są najskuteczniej leczone leczeniem anty-HER2. W przypadku raka płuca mniej więcej 10% przypadków to są chorzy, u których dochodzi do aktywujących mutacji genu EGFR i inhibitory EGFR są dzisiaj najskuteczniejszym leczeniem dla tych właśnie chorych. Ale rzeczywistość jest troszeczkę bardziej skomplikowana niż analiza pojedynczych genów. Tutaj mamy bardzo prosty przykład. Na jednej osi tego wykresu widzimy, widać to tutaj, widzimy kilka różnych nowotworów, na drugiej kilka podstawowych genów. I to, co widać, że w jednym nowotworze możemy obserwować przynajmniej kilka różnych zmienionych genów. Ale co jest jeszcze bardziej ciekawe, to jest to, że te same zmienione geny widzimy w różnych nowotworach, co otwiera nam możliwości zastosowania na przykład leku na czerniaka w leczeniu chorych na raka płuca czy raka jelita grubego. Wszystkie te geny w swojej większości biorą udział w kontroli przekazywania informacji wewnątrz komórki. Informacji, która w końcu prowadzi do podziałów niekontrolowanego wzrostu. To jest bardzo uproszczony schemat, ale już tutaj widzimy bardzo wiele elementów, którym coś może pójść źle. Tutaj schemat troszeczkę bardziej rozbudowany, ale on jest ciągle jednak bardzo, bardzo uproszczony. Dlatego możemy się nawet posłużyć schematem londyńskiego metra, żeby wyjaśnić sobie tę zawiłość. Każde niepowodzenie, każdy zastój, nieprawidłowe działanie jakiejkolwiek ze stacji metra doprowadzi nam w końcu do rozregulowania całego tego systemu. Im więcej stacji nieczynnych albo działających nieprawidłowo, tym bardziej rozregulowany jest ten nasz system. Natomiast, żeby to naprawić, musimy dokładnie wiedzieć, co i gdzie, w którym miejscu się popsuło. I tak jest z leczeniem chorych na nowotwory. Z tej samej tkanki, z której używa patolog do stwierdzenia nowotworu, jesteśmy w stanie wyizolować wszystkie geny, wydzielić z nich te, które związane są w jakiś sposób z powstawaniem nowotworów, później je dokładnie przesekwencjonować, przeanalizować, wskazać wszystkie różnice i w oparciu o codziennie ciągle zmieniającą się wiedzę nadać tym wszystkim zmianom znaczenie zarówno biologiczne, jak i kliniczne, rozszerzając w ten sposób możliwości leczenia naszych chorych. Zresztą ten trzeci i czwarty etap to jest zadanie dla bioinformatyków. W ten sposób możemy dokonać przejścia w kolejny etap personalizowania leczenia, czyli odejścia od wyznaczania grup chorych do indywidualnego spojrzenia na każdego chorego oddzielnie. To jest przykład z raka płuca. Jeszcze w roku 2000 leczyliśmy chorych z powodu niedrobnokomórkowego raka płuca. 4 lata później zaczęły się pojawiać analizy genomowe i tutaj widzimy taką sekcję z mutacjami genu EGFR. Dla tych chorych już wtedy mieliśmy bardzo skuteczne leczenie anty-EGFR. Ale tak wygląda sytuacja w roku 2016. Spójrzcie Państwo na tę paletę kolorów. Każdy z nich oznacza zupełnie inny gen, którego zmiany możemy w jakiś sposób adresować leczeniem. Czyli krótko mówiąc, mój rak płuca i twój rak płuca to są zupełnie inne choroby, które często wymagają zupełnie innego leczenia. Zresztą to jest analiza z roku 2016, publikowana w 2017. Możecie mi zaufać, że w 2018 jest już zupełnie nieaktualna. Tych kolorów na naszej palecie powinno być znacznie więcej. I tutaj dochodzimy do sedna sprawy, do tego, dlaczego tak ważna dla firmy Roche była współpraca z Foundation Medicine i z Flatiron. Foundation Medicine to jest baza ponad 100 000 genomów nowotworowych. Z drugiej strony Flatiron Health to jest baza wielu setek tysięcy chorych i informacji o wynikach przebiegu leczenia. Roche z kolei dysponował bazami ze swoich badań klinicznych. Natomiast wspólna analiza tych trzech baz danych otwiera nam zupełnie nowe możliwości. Pokażę jeden przykład ze Stanów Zjednoczonych. Niedługo po tym, jak do leczenia w praktyce klinicznej wprowadzono w Stanach Zjednoczonych immunoterapię, szybko znaleziono taką grupę chorych, u których mieliśmy informacje o ich przebiegu leczenia, o wynikach skuteczności tego leczenia, ale również informacje o genomie tych nowotworów. Immunoterapia, chociaż bardzo skuteczna, nie działa u wszystkich chorych. Mamy chorych, którzy odpowiadają bardzo dobrze, u innych chorych ta odpowiedź jest, powiedzmy, taka sobie, ale są też chorzy, którzy na to leczenie nie odpowiadają w ogóle. I w analizie danych klinicznych i genomowych mogliśmy wykazać, że mutacje jednego z genów, tutaj jest TK11, wiążą się z bardzo niskim prawdopodobieństwem uzyskania odpowiedzi na leczenie. Co oczywiście pozwala nam budować strategię leczenia dla wszystkich chorych. Wiadomo, chorzy z tą mutacją nie są pewnie najlepszymi kandydatami do leczenia immunoterapią. Ale też otwiera zupełnie nowe możliwości w badaniach podstawowych. W jakim mechanizmie ta mutacja powoduje właśnie taki efekt kliniczny. Co powinniśmy zrobić, w jaki sposób szukać nowych leków, ażeby w przyszłości również i ci chorzy mogli być skutecznie leczeni. I w podsumowaniu przygotowałem dla Państwa taką krótką animację. Proszę, wyobraźmy sobie chorego i tkankę jego nowotworu. Jeżeli mamy tkankę jego nowotworu, która oczywiście różni się od jego prawidłowej tkanki, możemy wykonać analizę genomu tego raka, która otworzy nam możliwości precyzyjnego leczenia tego chorego. Jeżeli dodamy do tego dane kliniczne, a szczególnie będziemy w stanie zbierać je w dużej skali, to możemy wykonywać analizy, które wykażą nam kliniczne znaczenie tych zmian genomowych. Dalej możemy nadać im znaczenie prognostyczne i predykcyjne w odpowiedzi na leczenie, co pomoże budować nam kolejne nowe strategie leczenia dla przyszłych chorych. Ale tego typu analizy są jeszcze paliwem dla badań podstawowych, dla badań mechanizmów molekularnych, w jakich to wszystko się odbywa, w których znajdziemy kandydatów na nowe leki, które z kolei będziemy badać w badaniach klinicznych. I tak, inwestując w analizę genomu nowotworów i w zbieranie danych klinicznych, jednocześnie wpływamy na proces leczenia oraz na badania podstawowe, translacyjne i badania wdrożeniowe dla nowych leków. Ja myślę, że my w Polsce jesteśmy dosyć dobrze przygotowani do tego typu prac. Mamy sieć dosyć dużych ośrodków onkologicznych i bardzo scentralizowany system, co nam ułatwia dotarcie do danych. Polscy onkolodzy to jest ogromne doświadczenie w prowadzeniu badań klinicznych. Polscy informatycy znani na całym świecie, ci, których my zatrudniamy w Roche Polska, bardzo skutecznie konkurują z Doliną Krzemową. Zresztą zatrudniamy ich znacznie więcej niż jakichkolwiek innych specjalności w całej naszej firmie. Natomiast mamy też również niezaspokojone potrzeby w ochronie zdrowia oraz w nauce. Ale potrzebujemy zadbać o bezpieczeństwo danych, Potrzebujemy inwestycji w tym obszarze i co najważniejsze pewnie, potrzebujemy partnerstwa publiczno-prywatnego, ażebyśmy mogli w taki sposób dalej rozwijać onkologię w Polsce. Dziękuję Państwu.
Bardzo dziękujemy. Smutno mi się zrobiło, ja jestem dziennikarzem od 25 lat i chyba od tego czasu słyszę o potrzebie partnerstwa publiczno-prywatnego. Minęło ćwierć wieku i nadal o tym słyszę. To znaczy, że potrzeba nie została zaspokojona.